Cut that out before we get sued. I ain't got HBO money. What's up, G-Show land, and welcome to another episode of the G-Show podcast. I am G1, and this is the Geek Out, episode 18. If you heard at the top of the show just now, winter is in its third week. Yeah, we're going into our first week of August. I don't understand it, but we're going to try to understand it. We're going to try to make some headway into the Game of Thrones phenomenon today. Let me introduce you to my esteemed panel. Once again, as always, joining me, my right-hand man on the G-Show, Mr. Matt. Hello, sir.
As almost always, I've missed out on a small handful.
No, you have. You know, I pimped the Godzilla Block Party yesterday. I pimped this show on the Block Party yesterday. Now I'm pimping the Block Party on this show. You know, we need you back. Also joining me, the Game of Thrones man himself. I mean, look, I had to unfollow this man last week because he's putting Game of Thrones spoilers up, but he does it in a very clever way. But unfortunately, I understand his cleverness, so he had to get unfollowed. Goodbye, Chris. Yo, thanks for joining me, my brother C.Monty.
You know I had to be here. This podcast would fall apart without me.
It's true. As you can see already, it's falling apart. Fuck, this show's all over the place. I had a very long night last night, and Taco Bell at 2 a.m. is not a good thing. So I just want to throw that out there, too.
Taco Bell at any time of the day is not a good thing.
Sometimes. All right, listen, Taco Bell aside, we got a couple of things we want to talk about today in this podcast. The first thing I want to really get into before we get into the Game of Thrones conversation is the It trailer that dropped this week. The second trailer, look, when they announced this movie, and we talked about this previously, but when they announced this movie, I was kind of leery. All right, you know, a new iteration of It. How are they going to do it? You know, is it going to be 2 movies? You know, you need 2 movies. Whatever the case may have been. That first trailer dropped, and it was like, wow, okay, that's scary. This trailer dropped, and I'm like, okay, you know what? It's got my money all over the place. So I'm going to start with you, Matt, because I know you were excited to see this trailer this week. What were your thoughts on this It trailer?
It was good. I don't think it was quite as good as the first one. I was definitely not nearly as spooked, but I feel like the first trailer was more setting up the atmosphere and the vibe of the movie, and this was more setting up the story. And so, I mean, I can give it a pass for that. But yeah, it looks good. I'm really sold on it. I've only seen the miniseries once before, a long time ago, so I have no, no allegiance to Tim Curry as solely Pennywise, or Pennywise can only be Tim Curry, so I'm willing to give this new dude a chance. It looks spooky. But yeah, I'm excited for probably jumping the gun a little bit, but excited more for hearing the news on when the second one starts getting going, because that should be starting production pretty soon.
That's true. That's a good point, yeah. Give me some more giant spider crab creatures, right, Chris? What you think of this It trailer?
I mean, I dug it. I pretty much agree with Matt in the sense like this one is more of like setting up the story, whereas opposed to the first one was really just kind of giving you a sense of like what the atmosphere of the movie's going to be. And I think that the trailers both did a good job of showing, because the atmosphere of the movie is very important, because that's really like, you know, if you're a fan of the book, you know that the atmosphere behind like that creepiness behind the 1950s kind of, you know, Americana lifestyle and everything, that darkness that's kind of sitting behind it, the juxtaposition and everything, it's a major driving part of the story and everything. So I think that building the correct atmosphere in the movie is very important to driving what the actual horror of the story is. Because the horror of the story isn't just about this monster that's like taking kids. It's also about like how no one's kind of paying attention to it, and like how the whole town is kind of under this creature's spell, and like nobody's really doing anything to fight it. I did appreciate Tim Curry's performance in the original one, and the fact that they're not showing much of Pennywise in the trailer is both kind of like nervous, like it's kind of exciting because it gives you something to look forward to the movie, but at the same time, it also makes me kind of nervous because I'm wondering if they're going to play this as a straight up like scary creature character, because that is a big part of Pennywise's thing, is that he is kind of like this big bombastic clown, and that's how he draws the kids into him, like to lure them in. You know, oh, it's a fun clown, and you go, yeah, now I'm going to eat you. Like, so it's a good thing that they're hiding Pennywise, but at the same time, as someone who knows what Pennywise is supposed to be, it's also kind of harrowing because, like, you're still left going into the movie, are they going to get this right? There's, like, really nothing shown in the trailers for me that can kind of hint at whether or not they got it right or wrong. So it's exciting, but in, like, a nervous way.
That's a really good point. A really good point with the how Pennywise is supposed to be the bombastic clown to lure him in. That's a very good point, and that they're not showing that in the trailers. Now, because I didn't even think of it that way, now my brain starts thinking of it that way, and it's like, are they saving it, or are they going to go like a Conjuring type of route where it's scary visuals and jump scares, where it should be, you know, because the kid looked sinister, at least with Tim Curry, and looked like a clown. He looked like a clown until he was ready to pounce on you. This kid looks sinister as shit. There's nothing fun about his look at all. The costume's dingy and dirty. It looks like he crawls around in the sewer. So yeah, man. Wow, that's a really good fucking point, man. Holy crap! Now I'm thinking at it, looking at it a whole nother light.
Like the shot when they showed in this new trailer where Georgie's looking in the sewer and like it kind of like comes out of the shadows and he looks menacing and sinister and everything like that, is a complete turnaround from what it should be in the opening sequence where, like, yeah, it's weird to see a clown in the sewer, but at least with the Tim Curry version, like, he was like a fun clown. Georgie didn't think about it because, like, you know, there's fun, like, hiya, Georgie, like that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this, if I saw this clown popping out of me in the sewer, 5 years old, I'm like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm getting the hell out of here.
It's only paper.
I want nothing to do with this creepy-ass looking clown sitting in the sewer. Nothing about this is right. Like... So that's what I'm kind of worried about, if they're going to try to focus too much on Pennywise being like this scary, menacing figure, whereas Pennywise is supposed to be like, yeah, he gets scary as it goes on because the kids start to figure out who he is, and now it's like this kind of battle of wills things where he's like, I'm putting aside, like, I'm casting aside all dispersions and, like, you know, all pomp and circumstance, like, I have to kill you, and I'm not going to pretend like it's anything else than that. But at first, when you see Pennywise, it's generally supposed to be like this fun, you know, hey, come play with me. I'm the cool clown that you want to have fun with. And then he gets you and eats you.
Well, I think in defense of this route that they may or may not go down, because we don't know for sure, like, you know, times have changed. Like, when people go to horror movies, they want straight horror. Generally, because, you know, anything less than that is kind of like been relegated to like B movie kind of level. So, you know, in the age of our Insidiouses and Conjurings and stuff like that, there's not a lot of, like, the villain can't be goofy, and I think that's just a sign of the times as to how, like, things were different back in 1990, and that's, you know, things have changed. Like, there's still room for comedic relief, but I think the best horror, personally anyway, is when you don't mix the comic relief with the horror. Like, they're two totally separate entities. Get Out being a perfect example of how well that balance can be done. You know, we had the funny security, or the TSA dude, who had no involvement with the actual scares of the movie at all. And I think that's just the road they might be going down, just because that's how movies are made these days.
No, I get that. I'm not sorry, Ray. I'm not trying to argue against that point, but like, then that kind of thing doesn't really work for a story like it, because what it is all about that juxtaposition between the wholesome, like what you expect out of a society like that, like what you got in the 1950s and everything like that, versus like that kind of creepy darkness that sits behind it, like a John Wayne Gacy kind of thing. You know, he dressed up as a clown, and that's a big part of, I think, where Stephen King might have drawn the inspiration from. It's like John Wayne Gacy dressed up as a clown to lure these kids in to come to his garage or whatever like that, wherever he killed them and everything like that. And John Wayne Gacy, when he did that, presented himself as like this, he presented himself to where you would expect a children's clown to be. And then there's like that sinister aspect behind it. So that's really what the whole thing of it is supposed to be. And like the atmosphere is the darkness behind the facade. So like it is kind of important to have Pennywise present himself as like this, hey kids, come play with me. But there's that sinisterness behind it. If you do it all sinister, it doesn't really work for what the character is supposed to be.
Yeah, so both of y'all make some really valid points, Matt. Because I was gonna jump to you, but you took the reins and just ran. You answered the question I was gonna ask, but you both make some really valid points. In today's age, it is different, Matt. I loved what you said as far as the horror today is different. If it's not, it's like cheesy B level, and that's pretty much what Freddy Krueger and Jason was back in the 80s. It really was. That was the horror we got. The supernatural shit we got, The Exorcist, it seemed like they stayed away from shit like that. But with things like Sinister and The Conjuring, I won't even say Paranormal Activity. I don't even think that counts. But that really like primal, frightening fear, I could totally see that is what this generation is. On the flip side of that, though, how much are we adapting this book? I mean, because Chris does make a good point. It's in the book. The character is very goofy. And but we don't know. We're just speculating here because, again, this is just what we're seeing from the trailer, and it could be completely different. In the movie, he could absolutely be a goofball to lure the kids in, but that sequence, you compare both sequences in the sewer sequence. Yeah, when Tim Curry pops up, you're absolutely right. He's playful with it, and then he grabs him and pulls in that. This motherfucker come out the shadows like, yo. And that glint in his eyes, it makes it very scary. I mean, on a primal level.
Well, I don't know, just to add one more thing to it. Obviously, it's not 100% faithful adaptation. They're taking creative liberties as they kind of have to. One of them being that it's not set in the 50s, it's set in the 80s, the late 80s.
Good point.
And, I mean, kind of jumping off from what you said, Chris, about, that 50s, there was like this wholesome Americana and then the darkness behind it. I think, if you set it in the 80s, partially just so part 2 can be set in present day instead of whenever. But the 80s was the height of the Cold War, where this darkness was much more prevalent, but people were trying to kind of look past it and pretend it wasn't there. So I think that could be, implemented into how Pennywise and it are portrayed.
You know what? When you put it that way, I'm 100% on board.
Let me tell y'all something. That was probably the best little debate conversation we've had on this shit in 18 episodes. I'll tell you right now. That was great. So as I look at my tally points right here, I got 2 points for Slytherin and 5 points for Ravenclaw. Very good. Very good job, guys. Very good job. Shit, yeah. Wow. All right, well.
No, yeah. Hold me on that one. If that's the approach that they're taking.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we could be totally talking out of our asses at this point.
Well, we got a month and a couple of days or so before this movie comes out. It's early September, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm definitely gonna put some money on the side for that because unfortunately, I'm gonna tap into this film. I wanted to see Valerian last week, didn't get a chance to see it. Thought I was gonna see it this week, didn't get a chance to see it, so I was very upset. And then Atomic Blonde dropped too, which was high on my list of movies to see, and I didn't get the chance to see it because rent does crush my ass. Bills came out of nowhere, and I'm over here like, son of a bitch. All right, you got this round, life. You got this round. I get paid this week. I'm going to see both movies. I don't care. So I haven't seen them.
Matt, all the perks of being single with no kids.
There you go. Matt hasn't seen them either. But Chris, you saw Atomic Blonde.
Yes.
In a non-spoilish way, man. Give us your reactions to this film.
Okay. Yeah, so it's gonna be kind of hard because my language is gonna have to be very soft to avoid, because I don't even kind of want to say hint at what happens at the end, because I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But all right, so the way I'll describe it is this: if you're looking for this to be straight up Jane Wick, female version of John Wick, nonstop action, I'll admit you'll probably wind up feeling just a little bit disappointed. The action sequences are amazing. They're what you would expect from the guy who co-directed John Wick, who's doing Deadpool 2, who what was the other one he worked on? I'm drawing a blank on it. But for someone who came up in stunt coordination and then started directing action films and everything like that, the action is every bit you would expect, and there's real consequences to it. Like, there's scenes where she's fighting people, or she's fighting this one dude, and it's not like she gets thrown around and she gets back up. She's like this. She gets thrown around and she gets her back up, and both her and her opponent are staggering, looking like they're drunk. Exactly how you would expect somebody to look after just being thrown through furniture, pounded into a wall, beaten in the head, and everything like that. People don't just get up and okay, let's go. No, you're like, fuck, man, what do I do next? So they're they're very realistic in the way they portray the action and the consequences of the action. The action sequences are amazing, but this movie is first and foremost a spy intrigue film. It's a spy thriller intrigue film. So the story was, I was, again, John Wick, amazing movie. The story is kind of just consequential to driving the action sequences. Guy goes on a vengeance quest because they killed his dog.
I still don't get it. I don't get why people get mad at that.
Not the strongest story in the world. Great, still a great motivator. If somebody killed a puppy if I had a puppy that looked like that, I'd probably want to go on a vengeance quest too if they killed it. But it's really that whole thing is just a reason to have John Wick go out and do all this cool shit while he kills people. This movie is not that. This movie, the story is the driving force of the movie, and it's a solid story with solid acting and solid action.
Oh, wow.
I'm actually a little disappointed that it's sitting at a 75 right now. For me, if I had a choice on it, I'd put this movie at a 90-something%. But you can't, Rotten Tomatoes gives it a score based on what the aggregated critic reviews and everything like that. It just kind of makes me feel like the critics aren't praising it enough. It deserves to be praised more than it is because it's, like I said, a solid story.
Man.
With amazing acting. Charlize Theron is great. James McAvoy is every bit as amazing you would expect James McAvoy to be. He continues to prove that he is one of the names to pay attention to in this generation. The director, whose name is escaping me right now, I wish I memorized, because he's someone you should be paying attention to when it comes to action movies. He's definitely, I feel, if he doesn't, he definitely deserves to be one of the big action directors of this generation. He definitely deserves to. I'm actually way more excited about Deadpool 2 now because I know he's going to have some crazy action sequences in that. John Goodman is great in it. Toby, what's this guy's name? The guy from
Captain America?
Yeah. He's great. Everybody is great in it. Everyone plays their roles perfectly. I can't praise this movie enough. It's definitely, it's Baby Driver levels of good, but it's different stylistic. It's not the same kind of style as Baby Driver, where Baby Driver is kind of more fun, cool, actiony stuff. But it is that level of good to me.
That's crazy because a lot of the people the reviewers I follow on Instagram or YouTube, and people I watch, a lot of them were saying the action is unbelievable, but they were saying the story lacked. And you're over here no, the story was great. And I'm wow, I'm really interested now. Damn, I'm going to see it regardless. Once payday comes, I'm going to see it, man. I'm going to see it. I don't care. But It's just a damn shame that the damn Emoji Movie is the #1 movie at the box office this weekend. Way to go, Sony. Ooh.
Sitting at a 6%. How's it the #1? Like,
6%, you said?
It started at 0.
You know,
Emoji Movie was the first movie. Let this like it's at least got that record going for it. That is the first movie in Rotten Tomatoes history to ever hit a 0%.
Wow.
No, the True Memoirs of an Assassin or whatever on Netflix with Kevin James that has a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Does it?
There's a small handful of movies with 0s.
I didn't realize because those movies completely fell off my radar.
Maybe this was the first animated one or first like big studio movie. I don't know.
Jesus, 0%. That's just, well.
But I know that because I watched that True Memoirs of an Assassin movie last night, and it started off in like the so bad it's good kind of way, and then it just got really bad.
Dude, you really like to torture yourself at times, man.
Well, I'm a Kevin James fan. Like, King of Queens is, bar none, my favorite show ever.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, I'm always in the mood to watch that show. I'll marathon all 9 seasons and be like, well, I'm ready to watch it over again. Fucking love that show. So I'm incredibly disappointed when he fucking slums it with stuff like Paul Blart Mall Cop and this new Assassin movie.
I was gonna say that. Have you gone and seen Paul Blart Mall Cop? Mall Cop? I can't even say that fucking word.
I've seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. I refuse to see the second one because I like to preserve my humanity.
Not to get too far, but that seems to be a thing with Kevin James. When it comes to like TV series, he's solid. Like this new one that he's got, Kevin Can Wait, whatever like that, is a pretty solid show and everything like that. He seems to choose TV vehicles pretty well, but movies, I don't know what's going on there.
I assume he probably just does it for the money.
Yeah.
Easy money, really.
They needed somebody to fill that Chris Farley void. And he's a big, beefy dude who, does a lot of falls. To me, I never liked Chris Farley. I got nothing against Kevin James. I would watch King of Queens just for Leia Remini. So, Saved by the Bell. Wow. But, yeah, I think that they needed a void to fill for Chris Farley, who, I mean, after him, when he passed, there was really no big, beefy comedy actor that just falls around and gets hit in the head with tree branches and shit. I mean, I don't know. I didn't see anybody. Yeah. So I think Kevin James, because those are, to me, movies like that reminds me of a Tommy Boy or a Beverly Hills Ninja. This is like silly shit. Get out of here with that. But,
no. To be fair, with the exception of Beverly Hills Ninja, like Tommy Boy and Black Sheep were both well-written movies, though. Like, they were solid comedies.
Yeah, and I personally don't like them because I just never liked Chris Farley. But, no, I get it. It's got that real sarcastic humor to it, too, which something like a Paul Blart does not have. That's just slapstick. It's like children's slapstick. It's like poopy jokes. Get the fuck out of here with that shit. You know what I'm saying? But, wow, yeah. We totally rode that Kevin James train, huh?
Back to the point, Atomic Blonde is amazing. You should spend your money on it and see it, and it's great.
Good. Now, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing it this weekend. And if anything else comes up that unexpected, I'm gonna be mad. But all right, before we get into the Game of Thrones, I want one more topic I got to talk about because honestly, it's speculation time. Yeah, my favorite part of the motherfucking podcast. This week, there were some leaked photos from Star Wars Episode 8. We got to see Luke in this cool, dark... Now, he's not a dark Jedi, but in this cool, dark Jedi garb. We get more pictures of Rey. I believe Finn was there. Phasma with a staff. Pretty cool. Kylo Ren. But the one that really got the internet going was the Snoke maquette. Now... that thing was great because now you can see details and go all in on this thing. And I've seen a couple of crazy ass theories going around again. Chancellor Valorum, I was like, really? Wow, that's real stretching it, but okay. But this, honestly, this is our first really great look at Snoke. Matt, what did you think of this?
Fuck, he's ugly. That's what I thought. I don't know. I see a lot of crazy theories too, like because he's wearing like a gold kind of robe, people have been comparing him to that one librarian Jedi in Episode 2.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I see that one a lot.
Camino. I'll never forget that. Oh, that's crazy.
That's the biggest one I see the comparisons to. And then obviously all the whole anti-smoking stuff. Lots of, I don't know. Still comparisons to Mace Windu, which I don't understand at all, but, whatever.
Oh, wow.
That's... I don't know. I've been seeing a lot of more memes on it than actual speculation.
Oh, okay. See, because the picture's so clear now, you could just zero in, focus, and say, okay, who does he look like? What is this? What could this possibly be? Chris, you have any theories?
Personally, I subscribe to the theory that I think you guys posted on the G Show page the other day, that plot twist, Supreme Leader Snoke is Supreme Leader Snoke. I truly do. I think he's his own original character. I think it'll be a cheap cop out if they revealed that it was some former Star Wars character that comes back as evil or was evil and we forgot about him or something like that. I think it's best for me. I think I would prefer it if he was just his own original character, and I think that's the direction they're going to go. And that's, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm wrong, I'm going to be disappointed, because I don't think it's a good idea for them to have a former character come back and oh, he's Supreme Leader Snoke now. Fuck you.
Yeah, I have seen stuff where people think it's like Ray said, it's Chancellor Valorum or it's Palpatine. Some people have even said it's Anakin. Just fucking.
I'd subscribe to that theory. I would subscribe to that.
But I still I think it's, besides him being Supreme Leader Snoke and no one else, I could see him still being Darth Plagueis, because that'd be cool.
True. And I agree. I like Chris. I don't need it to be someone from the past. My biggest concern going forward with Star Wars is Rey's lineage. I don't want it to be Luke's kid. I don't want it to be Obi-Wan's granddaughter. To me, that's just, no, there's no reason. We don't have to do another eye on your father moment. It worked once and it was great. We don't need a rehash of that. But with Snoke, I wouldn't be mad if Snoke is just Snoke. Not at all. But I also wouldn't be mad if it was, and I'm going to use a Harry Potter reference here, number 2. If it was Palpatine, kind of coming back like Voldemort did, all funky and shit, and he just ain't there yet. I'd buy that. I'd totally buy that. Palpatine's my favorite villain in Star Wars. You can never get enough Palpatine, so I like Palpatine. But I'm not 100% putting that stamp of approval on that. No. It would be cool. I don't know where they would go. The Anakin thing, I'm joking. Let's be for real here. We don't need that. What if Snoke is a manifestation of Luke's dark side?
That'd be weird.
Think so? If the Force can create Anakin,
I don't understand how his dark side could have its own personality.
Well, if
become a sentient being. Because
let's hear me out. If the Force created Anakin, right? He was the chosen one, right? And Anakin's superpowers are now in Luke Skywalker. And we don't know what Luke did in the past 30 years. He went all hermit crab on us. What if Luke kind of cleansed himself? Because Luke is he's supposed to be the most powerful Jedi, right? What if Luke cleansed himself? And by doing so, released all the negative energy. It had to go somewhere. Harry Potter universe reference number 3. Kind of like Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It becomes that little ball of rage, and it starts to take a form, and then you get Snoke. Nah, never mind. I don't subscribe to that theory. It's stupid. Fuck that. All right, let's get out of this.
Personally, I think it's going to turn out that Supreme Leader Snoke was Kaiser Soze all along.
That's a good one. All right. Now to the last topic.
It's kind of like ending, uncrippling himself and pulling out the lighter.
last topic of the day. Chris, this is going to be yours topic. We're going to talk Game of Thrones. Now, it's a phenomenon. It's been sweeping the nation. What are we, season 7 now? Is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, season 7. 7 years. This thing caught on. It kind of reminds me of the Doctor Who boom of about 5 years ago or so. It's kind of died down recently. It's still strong in the fandom, but as far as where it was at this fever pitch about 5 years ago with Doctor Who, or even 10 years ago, Game of Thrones is living this high life, if you will. It's arguably the best show on television, whether it's network or pay-per-view, if you will. And the fan base is...
Best show is subjective. It's arguably the most popular show on television.
Yeah, all right.
Like, I love it, but the critics of the show that. Like, whether or not it's the best show is entirely subjective.
I got you. It definitely is the most popular show. Between that and The Walking Dead, which I still don't understand, but those are the two most popular shows. Again, like I said, those arguably the best show. A lot of people say it is. I don't know. That's the whole point of this, though. What is it that makes these people come out in droves every viewing parties for this shit? Like, seriously, I've never seen this before. Never. In my 30-some-odd plus years of life, I have never seen viewing parties for a TV show. This is insane. Absolutely crazy insanity. So, Chris, you're heavily involved in the show. You watch it. You get it. You like it. Explain to us, what is this going on in the pop culture with Game of Thrones?
Well, for me personally, the reason I love it is that it's solid fantasy driven by political intrigue. It's a lot of the story of Game of Thrones is inspired on the actual story of the War of Roses. And I'm not sure if you guys know that much about history. The War of Roses that happened like pre-Renaissance and medieval times and all that stuff like that. These two families kind of vying for the crown. So a lot of the political intrigue is based on that and like all the little shady things they did to each other. So there's that House of Cards element about it, which House of Cards is another very popular show for that same reason, the political intrigue of it and seeing all these like slick, shady maneuvers that people are doing to rise to power. The fantasy aspect drives me too because I was a Lord of the Rings fan, like maybe not as heavy as some other people were. Like I know all the details coming out of the Silmarillion and I don't know how to speak High Elf and all that shit, but like I'm a fan of fantasy. I love seeing dragons. Dragons are awesome. So there's that aspect of it. But I think for me, if I were to take a wild stab at it, the major thing that made it as popular as it is, and it's starting to die down now because it's kind of going in the opposite direction, because it looks like they're trying to build towards that Hollywood ending.
Uh-oh.
I think what was a big draw for a lot of people was the unpredictability of it. Like we grow up in a culture and a society where like most of our entertainment gets a satisfactory ending. The good guy wins, the bad guy gets their comeuppance, and all that stuff. Like it's very rote and paint by numbers and everything like that. Where like doing the right thing gets rewarded and doing the wrong thing gets punished. And Game of Thrones was very much like, it doesn't matter if you're on the right side or the wrong side. If your enemy has an opportunity to kill you, he's going to kill you. And a lot of like people who were fan favorites and people who were rooting to win got killed off. And I think it became about the unpredictability of that. Like, in a traditional story, someone like a Robb Stark, who like the King of the North and everything like that, who was launching this campaign against the bad guys, or the people we consider the bad guys, the Lannisters, you would expect that guy to ultimately win and, avenge his father's death and all that stuff like that. But that's not what happened. Like, he got backstabbed by one of his bannermen, people who were supposed to be loyal to him, got backstabbed by that person and killed. And the unpredictable nature of that show completely juxtaposed what we're used to seeing in movies and TV. And I think that was a major driving force behind its popularities, because the audience couldn't call which way it was going to go. You couldn't say, like, oh, Jon Snow is definitely going to win because he's the hero. Jon Snow could get stabbed to death in the next episode, and that could be the end of his story, and you'll never hear from him again. And I think that was a driving force. That people didn't know what was coming. They couldn't predict the course of action that was going to take place in the show. And I think that's what kept them coming back, was the surprise of it, finding out what was going to happen next.
Shit, you ain't lying, man, because that's exactly what Walking Dead was doing. When Walking Dead was on top of the world, it was the unpredictability of the show. And as a fan of the comic and you know, who was way past where they were in the season 1 and 2, seeing certain people die, you're like, wait, whoa. That person's still alive in the comic. What the fuck just happened? And you tune in next week and now you see where it's going to take it. You're absolutely right on that. It does. I don't know. It brings these people out in masses. Now let me ask you, Matt, because I know you said you tried to watch it, you wasn't feeling it. What made you not like Game of Thrones? Give me the opposite views.
I thought it was immensely boring. I don't know. The action wasn't doing it for me. The story wasn't doing it for me. I didn't care about any of the characters. I was just kind of thrust into. I watched season 1 and half of season 2, and I just couldn't get into it. Like, I know fantasy generally is not my thing. I don't like Harry Potter. I don't like Lord of the Rings. I don't think wizards are cool. You know, I just think medieval stuff, like medieval-based fiction, is generally pretty boring to me. It's just not my cup of tea. So, I don't know, a show centered around that, basically an entire culture centered around that now, it's just not my thing. Mm-hmm. You know, clearly as you guys said, it's the most popular show on TV, generally, so I'm clearly in the wrong, but this is just how I feel. There's one condition in which I will watch the show, which I won't say on air because it's kind of terrible, but...
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, there's one condition I'll watch the show.
Now we're going to wrap the show up so we can find out.
I eagerly await that day if it ever comes. But, yeah, so I promised several people, if this thing comes to pass in the show, okay, I'll start from the beginning, I'll watch the whole thing just to get to that point. But, yep, it's just not my thing. I don't get it. I don't understand it, really. I watched a couple episodes of season 6 with a friend a couple weeks ago, just because I went over to his house and he had it on, so we watched it, and I saw the Battle of the Bastards episode, and that was kind of cool, but just generally it's like, I don't know what's going on, so I don't really care.
Nah, I hear you.
I mean, the cinematography, I can see amazing cinematography in other shows. I can see nudity in other shows. I can see immense violence in just about anywhere. So, it's just, yeah, I'm not invested. And that's just my 2 cents. But my opinion, nothing wrong with the show. It's just nothing wrong with people who like it. Just not my thing.
Matt does not like wizards unless they're named Obi-Wan Kenobi. Just throwing that out.
Yes.
But in this show, you get to see 2 Sarah Connors naked.
That's true, but only one doesn't get naked anymore. That was only in season 1, and he already saw that. Because I think it's contract now. She doesn't, it's in her contract. She's not doing the nudie thing. Unless...
Oh, no, she
it's a body double. Unless it's a body double.
Nah, that ending of season 6 where she walks out of the flaming thing, whatever, that was her.
That was her? I could have sworn that was a body double.
She did that. And that was after the whole, I'm not doing any more nudity stuff. What she basically said is that if the nudity isn't essential to the scene, or she doesn't feel like it's necessary, if she feels like they're doing it gratuitously, she won't do it. But she said it's a natural thing. She's just inside of a burning hut. Her clothes are going to be gone. So it made sense for her to come out.
All right. I thought it was also she felt
dope. She felt like it was empowering too, because it's basically a rebirth of her character.
Yep. Now,
and it goes back to the original season 1 ending.
Exactly. Now, for me personally, I'm not on either side. I like Game of Thrones a lot, but I don't watch it every week. I wait till the last episode of the season, and then we'll binge watch it. Me and my wife will binge watch that whole season. I get more out of it that way, because I got to be honest with you. Game of Thrones is very confusing to me because, like Matt, I'm really not invested in that whole medieval witchcraft and wizardry stuff. I enjoy the show, especially when the action comes on. I love the White Walkers. I love them. That shit is stupid awesome. But then there's just too many names. Like, I still don't know everybody's name. And it's 6 seasons. I've seen them all. But I just know who the Khaleesi is, you know what I'm saying? And that's, and Cersei's, and this pretty much it, Jon Snow. But as far as, like, there's so much shit going on, I'd be forgetting whose family this person belongs to, whose family that person belongs to, oh, wait, this guy go, whoa, he came back. What? That shit confused me, so I just take them by season, do a nice big chunk at the end of the season, and go for it. Chris, you said something that, you know what? I could see it, even though I haven't watched these 2 episodes this year. The Hollywood ending. That's a damn shame. Because of the unpredictability of the show. That would be a damn shame.
This show has officially gotten to the point where it's outpaced the books.
Yep.
It's well past the books now. So we're into the territory now where the writers of the show can pretty much make up whatever the fuck they want. And you can't call them out on it. You can't say, well, that's not what happened in the books. That's not what happened. That's not what George R.R. Martin wrote. Like, you guys are getting it wrong. Like, it's our show now. We can do whatever the fuck we want. So it's officially at that point. And it does seem like they're gearing towards the Hollywood ending where, like, the good guys win, the bad guys lose, and, like, they're just throwing in, like, little last-minute things to flip the plot and everything like that just to keep it going. So, I don't know. They could stick to the true nature of the show and have the thing, like, for all I know, the last episode could be the White Walkers swarming down from the north and just wiping everything out, and, like, everybody lost because 2 people were too focused on who was going to be sitting on the Iron Throne, and they weren't paying attention to those guys up there that want to kill everybody. They could go that route.
That would make my day.
Yeah, but, like, it does seem like right now, from the way the story arc is going this season, it does seem like they're driving towards the whole thing. Like, oh, Jon Snow's going to team up with Daenerys, and they're going to ride dragons, and they're going to burn out the Night King and all his minions, and then they're going to go and take the crown and rule Westeros justly and fairly. And it's like, but that kind of goes again, like, I would love, as someone who grew up in America who watches movies like that all the time, it would feel right at home to me. But at the same time, I would just love for the show to flip that thing on its head and so, nah, that's not how the world works sometimes. Sometimes the good guys, despite all their best efforts, lose. And the bad guys win. And I would love to see, I would love to see a thing where Jon Snow convinces Daenerys to join him and they go on to wipe out the White Walkers. But in the course of fighting the White Walkers, their forces get decimated. So when they go and try and take over Westeros, Cersei Lannister and her people just wipe them out and they get to keep power.
Plot twist. Tyrion is he's going to turn heel. Tyrion is the turncoat. He's been down with the Lannisters since day one.
All of this has been part of my evil plot.
Exactly. He's going.
So I'd love to see something like that. It's unpredictable. It goes against what you're expecting to happen in the show, but it does seem, based on the way the story is going right now, that they're driving towards that Hollywood ending. Like, Arya's going to go back to Winterfell, and they're all going to be a family again, and they're going to join up with with Daenerys and have these large forces, and they're going to take. Don't do that. Stick to the spirit of the show, where, like, you never see what's coming.
So basically, HBO and the Game of Thrones writers, what Chris is saying is, hold the door.
Hold the door. Too soon, bro.
Yeah, too soon. Well, listen, that was a good. I get it. I get it now. I absolutely get it. I understand it. We'll have a Game of Thrones wrap up at the end of the season. And whether Matt or not is with us, we'll find out as soon as we get off, because we got to figure out what the hell he was watching for. But listen, that's gonna do it for this episode of the G Show of the Geek Out. Yo, Matt, man, thanks for being on with us today.
Of course, it was pretty fun for an impromptu episode.
But yes, it really was. And Chris, thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
And thank y'all guys for listening to this. Next week is probably not going to be a show. I got to go a little vacation. Bye time. But we'll be back the following week. Hopefully a lot of good stuff happens. And if some really breaking shit happens during the week, then I'm going to have to get y'all dudes together and we do like a weekday version. But for now, that will be it. Ladies and gentlemen, G Show Land, thank you for hanging out with us. I am G1. We out of here. Peace.